Hey, good evening, everybody. Jumping on here for Friday Night Live tonight. I know that I usually jump on Thursday, but we were out late last night, and plus, I kind of figured that everybody is watching the hockey game, at least in Canada. And so, jumping on a day later, but hope you enjoy the broadcast tonight. I got some fun things I want to talk to you about. There's been so much happening on the news and some things that I want to share with you and update you on. So, hopefully, we get a few people joining in tonight. It is a little bit late on a Friday night, but I know some people, if they don't watch it at night, you like to watch it in the morning. And so, I really appreciate everybody that has been supporting and that has been watching, sharing, liking, especially sharing. I really appreciate that, but also your liking and your commenting, as I'd like to share these with as many people as possible. So I'd also just like to encourage everybody to please subscribe to my YouTube channel, which I will later post in the description. If you've not yet done that and subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would have really appreciate that if you would. And I would love to be able to hit 20 subscribers. That's 20 whole subscribers, and you could be number 20. So I'd love to be able to get to 20 tonight. So let's get to the content tonight. I got some fun things I want to talk about. I got some video content that I want to share with you a little bit about. One of the things that I want to talk about is freedom of speech, and it's something I talk about often. But JD Vance was just at a Security Council meeting in Europe, and he just really laid it down on freedom of speech and began to really just I would say, scold the European nations for the many violations of freedom of speech, violations of liberty and freedom, many of the things that have been going on in recent times. And he brought it right to their face and brought it to their attention. And it was really awesome. And I really believe that freedom of speech is something that everybody should be passionate about, regardless of your political spectrum, regardless of your belief system. This gives you the right to be able to express your belief system. And so we've seen in Canada, especially in Canada, these last few years, where there's been a real push against freedom of speech. And some of the avenues that people use to stifle freedom of speech is labeling it, misdirecting it, calling it hate speech, and sometimes it's just a difference of opinion. But that's where our society has tried to push things, where anything that they don't like, that it gets labeled or deemed hate speech, and this is how you shut down debate and you shut down argument. But freedom of speech gives us a platform where we can disagree with one another, where we can share the things that we're passionate about, and we can share the things that we believe in. And for Christians, we need to especially be passionate about freedom of speech, which means we should care about laws that are being passed. We should care about freedom of speech when it's being oppressed or stifled or restricted in our nation or in our community. Those things should be things that matter to us. And I think we've been way too passive on that as a Christian community in just allowing so much oppression of freedom of speech and just kind of going along with things, being silent while rights are being taken away. But right now, there is a pushback against that. And so we need to be able to move with that momentum as others in the political spectrum are pushing back. Like, these are things that are important as believers. They're important as everybody. If you're a believer, an unbeliever, like, you want to be able to express what you believe in, right? And what you disagree with. And so we need to have that liberty, that freedom, where we can express our thought, our belief, and that needs to be protected. And it's been going in the opposite way in the last years, where there has been so much censorship on social media. Even media itself has really been taken over and become so left leaning, bias, and so much propaganda that people are not really being informed as much as they're being programmed. But if you want to be informed, you've got to be willing to, actually search things out and find better sources, because a lot of things are just regurgitated rhetoric, and it's just the same things over and over and over, trying to program people and get people into a certain mind. Now, as believers, we frame our thinking by the word of God. That's what frames our thinking. The Bible said that we're to renew our minds, to have our minds renewed and renew them to the word of God, or the Bible. And so as we learn truth, as we stand on truth and hold to truth, it frames and well, it impacts the way we think. It impacts the way that we live. It frames our mindset, our ways of thinking. We find our belief systems from the Word of God, which is truth and which is light, which reveals things that are hidden in the darkness, reveals lies, and it reveals truth. So I want to share this video with you that where JD Vance really just begin to lay it out in
We
Europe.
believe those things
Let's take a
are
look.
certainly connected. And unfortunately, when I look at Europe today, it's sometimes not so clear what happened to some of the Cold War's winners. I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in Koran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes. Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officer...
Isn't that unbelievable? Hey, did you catch the last part there, what he was saying, where a man was arrested for praying silently in his head for what I would believe was 50 yards outside of an abortion center, because you're not allowed to, the law was that you can't be within 100 or 200 yards of any kind of way possibly interfering with anybody, that if you could interrupt anybody's thought process about having an abortion. And he brought this right out and laid it out on the main stage. How awesome was that? I loved that. And I didn't know a lot about JD Vance when Trump first selected him to be his vice president candidate, but the more I get to see this guy, the more that I'm liking him. He's very strong, he's very articulate, and he just really has a strong presentation about him. And so I'm going to play another video of you here just in a second about where he's at CPAC, and he's talking about toxic masculinity. Now, this is where there's pushback coming against these many woke ideologies that have been going on, and really where there's been so little resistance to the woke movement, where there's actually pushback right now, and still so many Christians are being silent. Like, stop. This is the time. You got to move with the rhythm, and where people are standing up, don't make people stand alone. And if you believe in these things, protect and fight for the things that you believe in, freedom of speech and liberty, and all of these things that we should hold dear, and these things that we should value so much, that we can preach and we can share the message of Jesus. We can share the truths of the Bible without fears of persecution or imprisonment. Like, these are some of the things that Canada has really been flirting with. The UK, they were like locking people up for Facebook posts and things like that. And I think that's, people have been arrested. I remember that happening a few years ago in Canada, even like just unbelievable things. And so to be seeing pushback for freedom of speech and freedom of expression online, and ending this ideology that everything is hate speech, and through that censoring, it's awesome to see. Now listen to Vance here in the CPAC platform, where he just talks a little bit about toxic
Men is don't
masculinity.
allow this broken culture to send you a message that you're a bad person because you're a man, because you like to tell a joke, because you like to have a beer with your friends, or because you're competitive. It's our like our message, the cultural message, and I think the president's and mine is the exact opposite, but our cultural message is, I think that it wants to turn everybody, into, whether male or female, into androgynous idiots who think the same, talk the same, and act the same. We actually think God made male and female.
Was on the other side now running.
Oh, shoot. I got ahead of myself there. But isn't like there's these things where he's pushing back on
We believe
toxic
that
masculinity. Sorry, my buttons are a little bit sensitive here. Okay. He's pushing back on all these things on toxic masculinity, and again, this is something that has just gone unchecked for so long. Now, I'm not advocating for the beer part, but I like the other stuff he was saying there, that it's okay to be masculine, it's okay to be a man, and you shouldn't be hated on just for being a man or being masculine. We've had so many things like that going on in recent years, where people have been attacking men's masculinity and trying to emasculate men, and teach them how to be feminine and all of that. But we need fathers, and we need men to stand up, and we need them to be leaders, and we need them to be godly men, and we need them to be men of courage. And as the men take their place and the women take their place, the society is the better for it, and our families are stronger for it. Now, I want to touch a little bit on Trump the disruptor, because this is something that people don't understand about Donald Trump. I mean, they don't understand a lot. They don't understand why people like him. They don't understand why people love him. They don't understand why Christians are happy about the things that he's doing. So many people see him as the opposite to Christianity, and I don't know entirely how it is people get that mindset, other than liberal media and bias, because before Trump ran for office, he was loved by Democrats. He was popular, even on The View. They were his friends. All these shows on Oprah Winfrey, all of these things, even when he started to run for president. But when he became a serious candidate, all of the narrative started flipping, and everybody went on attack mode against Donald Trump. What people like about him, and what many people don't like about him and don't understand about him, is that he is a disruptor. And people wanted Donald Trump not because they thought that he was your standard typical Republican. People wanted him because he was outside of the establishment, and he would be a disruptor to government corruption, and all of the stagnancies of government, and the debt, and all of the spiral that things have been going in for so long, where people make these promises on the campaign trail, and then they get in there in office and they do nothing to fulfill the things that they promised. But Donald Trump, who was an outsider, really a Democrat for, I think, most of his business career in life, and then flipping over to the Republican side when he decided to run for office, because really his platform was more just so common sense policies and ideology that really the world had been going away from, and left had become extreme. It became the extreme left, and people want to use the extreme right all the time, but there was the extreme left, and it was going crazy with wokeism and out of control things where common sense was being abandoned and thrown out the window. So now Trump is getting a cabinet around him, and all of his people that he's been wanting have been getting confirmed. They've been delayed, but they are getting confirmed. And the people that he's getting in cabinet alongside of him, people that he campaigned with and people that stood with him while he was campaigning, people that the voters knew that he was going to have them alongside of him. So these aren't like people that the voters that wanted President Trump to be in office are upset about. These are people that were also outsiders, like RFK, who was just confirmed into uh, the Department of Health. Now, RFK Jr. is the son of Robert Kennedy, and who was assassinated. He's the nephew of JFK, who was, of course, assassinated. And one of the things Trump did since he's been elected is decide to reveal the government's files, the secret files that should have been revealed long ago on these assassinations, including the Martin Luther King assassination. But some of these things haven't quite come out yet. I don't think. At least I haven't seen much about it. But this guy was just confirmed. Look at those eyes. That man means business. That is Kash Patel, and he was just confirmed, and Kash Patel is now going to be the director of the FBI. Now, this is an outside the box, this anti establishment type candidate again. And people are losing their minds about this guy because one of the things they think he's going to do right away is expose the Jeffrey Epstein list. That could be something that actually gets exposed. Remember, they've had this list for years now, but nothing's come out about it. And you know how people talk about Epstein, how if you get Epstein, do you know what that means? But nothing has come out about this client list that they've had. But we might actually start seeing some of that happening. And we know there's going to be a lot of elites and people like that, maybe politicians that fall on that list. We'll have to see when that comes out. But this is a guy that also can expose a lot of the government corruption, where the government has been weaponized, where they were weaponized against Trump or weaponized against uh, different candidates or policies. Government shouldn't be weaponized as a political weapon, and so that's not democracy. Now, Trump is surrounding himself with these anti-establishment people. Tulsi Gabbard, who is now director of basically the all of the security agencies, as in like the CIA stuff like that. It's a position I think that was created uh, after 9/11, I think, but it has ties to like all of those agencies, all those three-letter agencies that are um, very secretive and very important, of course. And she's an outsider. She was put on a no-fly list because she was had the government weaponized against her, even though she was a veteran and a congresswoman herself and an ex-Democrat. So Donald Trump, ex-Democrat, RFK was a Democrat, maybe still is, still identifies as that. Uh, I'm going to play for you a little bit of RFK's acceptance speech. I thought it was really awesome. He uh, he gave out some really good points and talked about how he prayed for 20 years, kneeled down and prayed every day for 20 years that God would put him in a place where he can help people that are sick. And now I don't agree with RFK on everything. I don't like his abortion stance, but he's got some really good things, and some of the things I'm seeing from him, I'm really liking. And this speech was, I thought, very heartfelt, very sincere. And this guy is speaking against big pharma, the military industrial complex. Now, these are things that, like liberals and Democrats, and even my friends in Canada that are left leaning, liberal or socialist or maybe even communist, care about some of these things. They're against things like that. They want to see someone take these things on. They're against that, those systems controlling things. And then they get somebody that is actually willing to try to take it on and speak against it, but they don't want to hear that now because it's associated with Donald Trump. And that is what we call Trump derangement syndrome, because it doesn't matter all the good that he's doing. It doesn't matter if he's doing things. They have built this narrative in their minds that he is somehow evil. Oh, we just don't like him because he's a divider. Oh, yes, he's mean. Okay, but the other side is calling him Hitler. Like, it doesn't get much more divisive or mean than that. So you say if he's a divisive figure, well, the other side calls him Hitler, goes after him by weaponizing the government and trying to put him in jail, trying to derail his political career. And then we're going to talk about he's the divider. Now, I know that he is a very boisterous figure, very bold, very blunt, and all of those things. And that this is how he is able to rattle. This is how he's able to rattle the establishment and challenge the status quo. So let's take a listen here to RFK Jr.'s
was
acceptance
on the
speech.
other
And he says some
side
great
now
things
running
here.
against my father with Gene McCarthy. My father wrote him a note, a quote from Emerson, where he said, if a single man plant himself firmly on his own ideal and there abide, the whole wide world will come around to him. For 20 years, I've gotten up every morning on my knees and prayed that God would put me in a position where I can end the childhood chronic disease epidemic in this country.
On there, my cropping might
On
not have
August
been
23rd of last
but
year,
you can hear it anyway, I hope.
God sent me President Trump.
He's got a nice arm.
And he gave me he's now given me, he's kept every promise that he's made to me. He's kept his word in every account and gone way beyond it. I'm so grateful to you, Mr. President. A lot of people told me that I couldn't trust President Trump, I better get it in writing. And we did a handshake, and everything that he told me he was going to do, he has done. Right. And I'm so grateful to him, and I've told you before, I genuinely believe that you are a pivotal historical figure, and you are going to transform this country at a time when we see all of the indicia of democracy now in tatters in our country. We see the rise of the military-industrial complex, the rise of totalitarianism, these attacks on our Constitution, and
Listen to
this
some of the things he's speaking
breathtaking epidemic that is disabling our people. President Trump has promised to restore the American dream in this country. A healthy person has 1,000 dreams. A sick person only has one.
A healthy person has 1,000 dreams. A sick person only has one. So now they're calling RFK part of the Maha movement, which is Make America Healthy Again. And so he wants to expose foods, chemicals that have been making people sick for generations. And man, this is something that people should be excited about and championing and like celebrating this because, I've looked on and we've had such little advancement in curing diseases in the last decades. It's just like all of that stuff has been so slow, so stalled. Lots of money goes into these things, and lots of agencies are started, and lots of scientific research money, at least money, goes into these things, but it doesn't seem to get anywhere. And it's about time we start getting somewhere in some of these things. And so again, these are guys that are talking about challenging the military complex, challenging big pharma. And so you got people like that, Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel, these people that are outsiders taking on the establishment. It's a really big deal, and Trump is a disruptor, and that's what people don't get, and that's what people are happy about. But people that are part of that system, corrupt media, corrupt politicians, they some of them are scared right now that about some of these things that might come out with the USAID. And it seems that there was a lot of money being funneled through there. Well, I mean, in the name of wokeness, without a doubt, there was money being spent in foreign countries on transgender comic books, and millions and millions of dollars being sent to Gaza for condoms. Like, it's just crazy stuff. And or it might have been well, more was in another country or something. I don't know. More came out about that later. But one of the things people are really stirred up about right now is Elon Musk, right? So Elon Musk was in the White House recently with his son, which is great. Isn't that a cool shot? And with his son climbing all over him, he was talking about Doge and how Doge is looking into USAID. They already, I think, are already looking into the Pentagon, so that's military spending and things like that. They're finding so much stuff, but people are freaking out about it. They're upset that he's finding stuff, and instead of being happy that fraud is being revealed, the corruption, that the taxpayers are where they're losing billions of dollars that is being funneled off. People are more so upset that Elon Musk is finding it, and really he's trying to compete with Trump for, like, that hated figure right now. But again, who was Elon Musk? A Democrat, a guy that I would still call very left leaning, like in probably so many ways, but seeing common sense things and understanding, caring about freedom of speech. That is one thing that he cared about. And man, that guy has done as much for freedom of speech as probably anybody in this last while, when he bought Twitter and exposed how the FBI had a portal into Twitter, and how all these things were being done, the propaganda and the censorship. Of course, Mark Zuckerberg recently came out and said how they were told to censor certain things as well. But Elon Musk put all this money into this company that wasn't even worth that much, and it started exposing the things that were going on in his own company in the name of freedom of speech. And this is why he's come together with Donald Trump. But what are people trying to do? They're trying to divide him and Donald Trump. They're trying to put a barrier between them by causing division, calling Elon the true president, and just these things that they're trying to attack Trump's ego with, to try to separate them as friends, because Elon Musk is a powerful figure as well. He's also the richest man in the world, but he's dedicating himself right now, giving his time. Like, this guy's got a lot going on, right? He's got Tesla, he's got SpaceX, he's got so many things going on. And he's dedicating his time right now, volunteering his time to help the government to get on the right track, because he realized freedom of speech was about to go away, democracy was about to go away. And people are upset about Elon Musk. They're saying he's just a bureaucrat, he's not voted in. But first off, a lot of these people that are in these positions, that are their jobs are to look for these things, aren't voted in anyway. But they're upset that he's doing this and he hasn't been voted in. But Donald Trump ran alongside of this ideology. And this was part of his platform while he was on the candidate trail. People knew what he was going to do. And so this isn't a surprise to those millions and millions of voters, which was the Electoral College, but also the popular vote, meaning he got more votes than Kamala Harris did on the grand scale of things. And they knew that these are things that President Trump was going to do. So they voted for these kinds of policies. And there's going to be a lot of things coming out here and uncovered. Uh, let me get to this now. There's a video out today that I was listening to, and they're saying that they have found, catch this, a new kind of matter. So we've always thought that there was just solids, liquids, and gases as matter. Now they're saying they have discovered a new matter. Like, this is huge. And this has to do with quantum computing. Microsoft is the ones that are coming out saying this now, that they've been researching for like 20 years this idea that from 1920 this guy had an idea that the certain element might exist. And so Microsoft has been researching it for 20 years, I believe, and now they have found it. They've learned how to control it, and it has to do with quantum computing. And I've talked a little bit about quantum computing, that it is a way of computing completely different than traditional computing or computer systems. If you watch some of the videos on quantum computing, try to gain some understanding of it. They have these huge facilities, and like, it's a small chip. It's all like, it's just a chip that has so much power that it'll have this facility built all around this chip so that the conditions are cooled and all of that. And what they actually are talking about is that this is like accessing information on such a grand scale that they think that they're actually like, they've thrown around the idea of accessing another universe or a parallel universe, or some of the things that they've actually talked about. Now, I don't believe in parallel universes, but I do believe in another realm. And so, man, I don't know some of the things that they might accidentally be accessing or some of these things that are going on. But take a listen
last
to
hour,
this.
which is,
This is amazing.
and not to put too fine a point on it, but when you say, when they say up until yesterday we had solid liquid gas and now we have this new kind of matter,
Again,
they're
some
not
of my
saying they
videos
created a
show
new
a
kind
little
of
bit
matter.
different
They're
on
saying
here
they
after I cropped them a little bit.
discovered
Okay.
and have harnessed
it, right? So
Yeah.
they're saying it was there the whole time, but it was something that was beyond the understanding of human beings until basically this week.
We couldn't find it. We couldn't control it. We didn't even know it actually existed,
Right.
and we certainly didn't know how to control it. In a year, okay, they've been looking for 19 years. Microsoft, longest running research program they've ever run. They found it a year ago. They know how to control it, and now how to make it into a chip. Something you could hold in your hand that has 1,000,000 qubits of quantum computing.
Now, that again means nothing to me, a million qubits of quantum computing, but
it means all of the power. Your phone, if they could put it in a phone, and I'm not saying they can or will, if they could put that one chip in your phone, it would make your phone as powerful as the best supercomputer with a server farm the size of the planet Earth. Okay?
Did you catch that? It would that's the power that is in this chip, that if it was in your phone, it would be like a computer, a supercomputer that was plugged into a data center that covered planet Earth, but it's all in a little chip. And they've discovered a new matter. Like this is huge. And they're talking about things that are coming through quantum computing where with AI and all the direction that things are going, where we're going to be moving ahead years faster than civilization has been. Like 12 hours will equal years. That this thing is going to be computing so fast. And imagine being able to ask things like, how to cure cancer, but it's doing it on a whole nother level. Like, how to stop people from getting cancer. It's how do we make batteries? These are some of the things Glenn Beck talked a little bit about. That how do we make batteries that you have to charge it once and it doesn't die? And getting answers to these things. Like, can you imagine the possibilities and the inventions? The world is changing and it's changing really fast. This is something I keep telling you guys about. AI, quantum computing, the world is changing. We don't really see it yet, but it is getting ready to change. And some of the things that could happen in the next years, they say within 2 years, we're going to be at artificial general intelligence, and after that we go to artificial super intelligence. So they're already saying, I think it's within a year that we'll start seeing people using AI agents like assistants. So this AI just knows you like better than you know yourself practically. It knows what you like to eat. It knows what you like to order. So it just does all of this for you. It's your own personal assistant. It's your own personal agent. It orders your groceries. It pays your bills. You think about this, and that's just the start. But they're talking about how people are gonna, it's gonna be so easy for people to lose touch with reality. They're gonna be living in a digital world, and they think possibly within this president's life or term as Donald Trump is president, that we might start seeing people merging with machines. So transhumanism, where people start merging with this system. Man, this is things that we believers have talked about from a biblical perspective and prophecy for so long. I'm going to play one more clip for you.
To me,
Catch this
could
one.
happen before we have a new president sitting in the Oval Office, where we are talking about actual
Transhumanism.
merging with machines. Once you get there, if you're dicey at all on what this is, you will merge. I mean, I'm not saying this is by any stretch, but could be. This is Mark of the Beast kind of stuff. This is
Oh, I think that's
once
where it's
you
going.
take that
Mark of the
merging
Beast type
point,
stuff.
it's not going away.
Mark of the beast type stuff. And that's what the Bible talked about, that the Antichrist would bring in a system that we would be tied to, where we would be imprinted, not we as me, because I ain't having no part of that. But as in population, as in humanity, where people will take a mark in their right hand or their forehead, and we've always thought that that would be some sort of digital thing, as we've seen technology advance in recent times. And so now with AI, quantum computing, we can even think of that more. Now people are actually merging with a system, merging with this network, merging with this world created little god, little god, the god that they're trying to create. But there is a great God in the heavens that will bring it all under subjection. And as I see all of this start coming, it's just like, can I take Jesus coming back soon for 1,000, Alex? Because those are the days that we're living in right now. Jesus is getting ready to come back. And so if you're not serving Jesus today, I want you to pray this prayer with me today and say, Lord Jesus, come into my heart. Forgive me for my sins. I repent of my sins. I proclaim today that you are the Lord of my life, and I give my life to you. I trust in you for salvation in Jesus' name. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Let me know that you were watching. Comment, like, share. I would appreciate that. Have a good night, everybody.